Welcome to Audiobook 365 Stories.
Major Pendleton Talbot and his daughter, Miss Lydia Talbot, came to live in Washington. They chose a quiet, old boarding house with a garden. The house was an old brick building with big white pillars. There were many trees and flowers in the yard. The place looked like the homes in the South, and the Talbots liked it very much. They took rooms in this nice boarding house. Major Talbot also had a small room for his writing. He was finishing a book called Stories and Memories of the Alabama Army in Cots. Major Talbot was an old man from the South. He did not care about modern things. He loved to talk about the time before the Civil War when his family was rich. They had a big house and many slaves to work for them. Major Talbot still wore old clothes from that time. His long coat almost touched the floor when he bowed. The other people in the house thought his clothes were strange, but they liked him. Miss Lydia was his daughter. She was a small, kind woman about 35 years old. She looked older because of her old-fashioned hair and clothes. Miss Lydia was smart and careful with money. She paid the bills because Major Talbot did not like to. He said they should pay them all at once when his book was sold. Miss Lydia said they would pay as long as they had money. Most of the boarders left the house in the day for work, but one young man stayed at home. His name was Henry Hopkins Hargraves. He worked as a comedian in a vaudeville theater. He was kind and polite, so Mrs. Vardaman, the landlady, let him stay. Hargraves liked Major Talbot very much. He enjoyed listening to the Major's old stories about the South. At first, the Major did not like their actor, but soon they became good friends. Every afternoon, the Major read his book to Hargraves. The young man always laughed at the right time. The Major told Miss Lydia that Hargraves was very smart and respected old traditions. They often talked about the past, the big dinners, the dances, the hunts, the old family fights, and the Major's duel. Hargraves listened carefully and never got bored. Sometimes at night, when Mr. Hargraves came home after his work at the theater, Major Talbot would call him into his study. There, the Major made a special Southern drink with mint leaves, sugar, and fruit. He made it very carefully and politely gave it to Hargraves. Hargraves liked to watch him make it and always enjoyed the drink. After living in Washington for 4 months, Miss Lydia found out they had almost no money left. The Major had finished writing his book, but no one wanted to buy it. They also owned a small house in Mobile, but the rent had not been paid for 2 months. Their boarding house money was due in 3 days. Miss Lydia spoke to her father about the problem. "No money?" the Major asked, looking surprised. He checked his pockets and only found $2. "I must fix this at once," he said. He asked for his umbrella and went out. He wanted to see a congressman named General Fulgham, who had promised to help get his book published. That evening, The Major came back looking tired. The congressman had spoken to a publisher, but the publisher said the major must cut half the book and remove things about the South. The major was very angry but stayed calm when he saw Miss Lydia. "We need money," Miss Lydia said. "Give me the $2 and I'll send a telegram to Uncle Ralph tonight." But the major pulled out an envelope and placed it on the table. "I spent the money," he said softly. "I bought 2 theater tickets for tonight. It's a new play about the South. I thought you would like it." Miss Lydia was upset but said nothing. Since the tickets were bought, they decided to go. At the theater, as they watched the show, Miss Lydia pointed at the program. "Look," she said. "It's Mr. Hargraves acting in the play. I'm happy for him." When Mr. Hargraves came on stage, the major was shocked. The actor looked just like Major Talbot. He wore the same old coat, same long white hair, same shirt and tie. Even the way he moved was like the major. The major and Miss Lydia sat quietly, surprised and hurt, as they watched Hargraves act like the major on stage. Mr. Hargraves did very well in the play. He copied Major Talbot's way of speaking, his southern accent, and his polite manners perfectly. He made these things a little bigger and funnier for the stage. When he gave a big bow, just like the major did, the people watching clapped loudly. Miss Lydia sat very still. She was afraid to look at her father. Sometimes she put her hand on her face to hide a small smile, even though she didn't approve. The funniest part came in the third act. In this scene, Colonel Calhoun, played by Hargraves, made drinks for his friends while telling funny stories. Many of these stories were the same ones Major Talbot always told. He even told the major's favorite story about a duel with a man named Rathbone Culbertson. Mr. Hargraves acted like the major so well that it was hard to tell them apart. He even made the same special southern drink with mint, copying the major's careful way of making it. He said the same things about how to press the mint and how to choose the best straws. The audience loved it. They laughed, clapped, and forgot about the other actors. When the scene ended, everyone cheered loudly. Hargraves came out and bowed. His face was happy and bright because he knew he had done well. Miss Lydia finally looked at her father. His face was white with anger, and his hands shook on the arms of his chair. "We will leave, Lydia," he said in a rough voice. "This is a shame." But Miss Lydia pulled him back into his seat. "No," she whispered. "We will stay. Do you want people to see you leave wearing the same coat as the actor?" So, they stayed until the play ended. The next day, Hargraves did not come to breakfast or dinner. At 3 in the afternoon, he knocked on Major Talbot's study door. He came in happily, carrying newspapers. "I did great last night, Major," he said. "Look what the newspaper says about me." But the major was cold and angry. He told Hargraves he saw the play and called it an insult. He said Hargraves had made fun of him and broken his trust. Hargraves felt sorry but explained that in the North, people don't feel the same way. The Major firmly replied, "They are not from Alabama, sir." "Maybe not," said Hargraves. "But let me remind you of something from your own book. Major, at a dinner in Milledgeville, you said these words: 'The Northern man has no real feelings unless it helps him make money. He does not get upset about insults unless they cost him money. Even when he gives to charity, he wants everyone to know about it.' Do you think those words are kinder than what you saw about Colonel Calhoun last night?" The Major frowned. Those words had some truth, he admitted. Speeches can be a little exaggerated. "And so can acting," said Hargraves. "That's different," replied the Major angrily. "You made fun of me personally. I cannot forgive that." "Major Talbot," said Hargraves with a friendly smile, "I hope you understand I never meant to insult you. In my job, we take ideas from life and use them on stage. That's our work. I came to talk about something else. We've been good friends for months, and I'll risk making you upset again. I know you don't have enough money right now. Don't ask how I know. People talk in boarding houses. I want to help you. I've saved some money. You can have a couple $100 or more until you're okay again." "Stop!" shouted the Major, raising his hand. "So my book was right. You think money can fix everything. I would starve before taking money from you. Now please leave my room." Hargraves left quietly without another word. He also moved out of the house that same day. Mrs. Vardaman later said at supper that he went to stay near the theater, where a magnolia flower would play for a week. Major Talbot and Miss Lydia were now in a hard situation. They had no friends in Washington to ask for money. Miss Lydia wrote a letter to Uncle Ralph, hoping he might help, though she wasn't sure. The Major had to explain to Mrs. Vardaman about their late payment, blaming it on missing rent money and late letters from home. Help came from a surprising place. One evening, the maid said an old black man wanted to see the Major. When he came in, he was polite and neatly dressed. He smiled and said, "I bet you don't remember me, Mars Pendleton." "I don't believe I do," said the Major kindly. "Don't you remember Cindy's Mose from before the war?" The Major thought, then smiled. "Yes, you worked with the horses. I remember now." "Yes, yes," the old man said with a big smile. "That's me, Mose Mitchell. After the war, your father gave me some mule colts. Do you remember those mules, Mars Pendleton?" "I don't really remember the mules," said the Major. "I was married the first year of the war, living at the old Follansby place. But sit down, Uncle Mose. I'm glad to see you. I hope life has been good to you." Uncle Mose sat down carefully, placing his hat on the floor. "Yes, sir, I've done well. When I got to Nebraska, people wanted to see those mules. They'd never seen mules like them. I sold them for $300. After that, I opened a blacksmith shop, made some money, and bought some land. Me and my wife raised 7 children. 2 of them died, but the rest are doing well. 4 years ago, a railroad came and built a town on my land. Now I have $11,000 in money, land, and property." "I'm glad to hear it," said the Major warmly. "And that little girl of yours, Miss Lydia, I'm sure she's grown up by now," said Mose. The Major called, "Lydia, dear, will you come?" Miss Lydia came into the room, looking grown up and a little worried. "See, I told you she'd be grown up. Don't you remember Uncle Mose, child?" "This is Aunt Cindy's Mose, Lydia," said the Major. "He left for the West when you were 2 years old." "Well," said Miss Lydia, "I don't really remember you, Uncle Mose, but I'm happy to see you." They sat and talked about old times. The Major and Uncle Mose shared memories of the plantation. The Major asked, "What brings you here so far from home?" "I came to the Grand Baptist Convention," said Uncle Mose. "I'm not a preacher, but I'm a church elder, so they sent me." "Do you know we're in Washington?" asked Miss Lydia. "A man at my hotel, from Mobile, told me he saw you coming out of this house," said Mose. "Actually," Mose continued, "I came to pay you back. I owe you $300 for those mules." He handed the Major a roll of money. Tears filled the Major's eyes as he took Mose's hand. "You've been so faithful, Mose. I can't accept this money, but we will take it as a token of your loyalty." Later, Miss Lydia had a good cry, out of happiness. The Major, feeling better, smoked his pipe quietly. A week later, Miss Lydia received a letter from Hargraves in New York. He had gotten a job to play Colonel Calhoun. He also mentioned he had sent $300 to repay the Major. He ended with a funny question: "How did I play Uncle Mose?" Miss Lydia smiled, hiding the letter when the Major passed by. The Mobile Chronicle came. She said, "It's on your study table."